Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name is Dean and let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is August 14th, 2025, and today I want to do something a little different. I feel like it's not super useful for me to just go over the same analysis I pretty much deliver on a daily basis. I feel like if you follow my work, you get it, right? It's not that complicated. What happened last night was something that we were anticipating. It's not some random, sort of event that happened. The government decided not to buy Bitcoin. PPI numbers came out. Therefore, we get a random dump. No, 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 no. Although I will say, and I still haven't put, I don't ask me why these events happen to fall so synchronistically at very pointed moments in time where we're expecting a move, right? So I don't know the reason why that is. All I know is high time frame. We're at resistance, high time frame. I was expecting a rejection of some sort, a swift rejection. I talked about it ad nauseum. So I'm going to touch on that really briefly. But today, I feel like it would be most helpful if I explained why this is the beginning of the end of Bitcoin's bear market. Because that's not something you hear much. It's very, very rare, I believe, that you hear that from an analyst, that Bitcoin, one, is in a bear market, two, that it's the beginning of the end of Bitcoin's bear market. So a lot of people are under the impression that Bitcoin is in a bull market and this is the end, or this is towards the end of Bitcoin's bull market, right? That seems to be the prevailing thesis. And there are a lot of different flavors of that. That's pretty much what 90+% of people I've come across believe, okay? And they think whatever I'm saying is crazy because, Dean, what are you talking about? We're not in a bear market. Click off. This guy's an idiot. We went from 16K all the way to 124K. What is that? Almost, what? And something X, 7X, 8X. Like, you just missed it. That's why you're saying it's not a bull market. So I want to explain that because, okay, I'm going to get into that. And I'm going to get into why the mentality is what it is. I'm also obviously going to get into the small time frame stuff, what we saw last night, what we can expect in the immediate short term. If all that sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. Let's not waste any time. So Bitcoin, daily time frame, the read is simple. Remember, it's always the high time frame analysis informs the lower time frame analysis. And for 270 plus days, we've been saying we're at resistance. So anytime we come here in this channel, it can be above the channel. We're not, because we study channels, we study Wyckoff, we know that you can pop up right above the channel and still be within the bounds of the channel. We're not fooled by that. We know that this is still representative of the top resistance of the channel. We do expect a move down. We know Channel Trading 101, channels only break from the midline. So if we were bullish, we would have to come down to the midline, then break out of the channel. But, accumulation channels don't look like this. This looks more like a distribution channel. So we're not expecting much of anything. We're not expecting much of anything bullish at this point. Also, we have a larger kind of thesis. We have a larger idea. And back to theses. So I said yesterday in yesterday's episode, the way I like to trade is, I have a high time frame thesis on a weekly time frame, a daily time frame. I do my analysis, and that always informs that my lower time frame biases. So I look at the lower time frames, and in the back of my mind, I have a bias as to where I think the market's going to go. I don't know exactly how that's going to manifest, matriculate, come about, but I know on a higher time frame, I'm going to be correct more often than not by being biased towards my higher time frame thesis. And I thought of that. Everybody does that. This is why people, they'll say, no, this is the end of the bull market, because their thesis is what? Bitcoin, they saw it with their own eyes, went from 16K all the way to where it is today at around 120 plus K. For them, that's bullish. That's a bull market. That's multiple X's. Whether they come from traditional finance or they're in crypto, they're thinking, yeah, that seems plausible to me. You do multiples in an asset that is a very large asset, billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. That seems like, yeah, sure, makes sense. That if you called it a bull market, and I understand where the reasoning behind that is. I understand the sense that can make. But here, if you're watching this, I'll ask you to suspend judgment for just a few minutes and entertain what I'm about to present. So my thesis, and it's been my thesis for some time, is that no, we're not in a bull market. You've seen up into the right price action, and how do I explain that? First, let me change charts. So I'm going to take you to my master chart, my index chart, okay? So this is something I've presented, and for those of you who have followed me for some time, you know this chart, you know my thesis on this. I feel like one of the blind spots in the analysis community, it could be crypto analysis. Let me just speak to what I know. I know crypto analysis community, okay? Because I don't know traditional finance community. I know a little bit, but not as much as I know the crypto analysis community. People don't do enough high time frame analysis. They don't. And when they do, they overestimate the strength of the cycles. They say stuff like, 3 Augusts ago, this happened. And so we're expecting that to happen again. You're overestimating the strength of what 10 to 15 years of price action gives you to be able to draw cyclical conclusions. You're drawing conclusions where you don't, and this is the blind spot in crypto, because they've never looked at a 50 or 100-year chart. And so they don't even know what a cycle could be, or what a mini cycle could be, or how it could appear that you have some regularity, but in fact you don't really have regularity there, because the regularity happens on a much larger time frame, and the cycle they think that they know is not really a cycle. It just happens to be a pattern that they've noticed, but that's a happenstance, or it's I wanted to say idiopathic, but it's like idiosyncratic. That's the word I'm looking for. It's idiosyncratic. It's not a real pattern. Again, when you're looking for patterns, you're looking for good data. Good data means you have a lot of samples to choose from. You have a high sample size. This is statistics 101, right? So when your sample size is high, the robustness of your pattern is higher. It's a higher likelihood of happening. When you have a 15-year asset, there's not much to say unless you have 15 years of every year this happens. You have no such occurrence in Bitcoin. So that I want to put as a primer. For the people who do this high time frame analysis, they end up going the way of, I'm just going to make something up based off of the fact that this is what I've seen happen 2-3 times over. That means shit. If you brought that into a statistical analysis, right, like actual statistical analysis, an N of 2 or of 3, that's noise. You know, anybody watching, listening that does statistics, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If your sample size is 2 or 3, that's not, you can't do anything with that. Okay? So what am I doing? This is where Elliott wave analysis, support and resistance helps. I'm not pretending to extrapolate some rigorous, robust patterning from 15 years worth of chart data. Yeah, so right. So my chart of Bitcoin goes from 2009 to present day. So 15, 16 years. That's nothing. But I can say, using Elliott wave analysis, and actually, let's put the Elliott wave analysis to the side, because, you know, every time people start talking about Elliott wave analysis, it begs the question, do you even know Elliott wave analysis? A lot of people pretend to, and they don't know the first thing. They don't know the first thing about Elliott wave analysis, and I see all kinds of, things just being said that completely goes against basic principles in Elliott wave analysis. So let's leave that as well to the side. Okay? Let's just talk basic support and resistance. Basic support and resistance. There's a reason why there's a high degree of probability and regularity in just reading basic support and resistance in financial markets. It doesn't matter what financial markets. Like I said in last episode, some people reach out to me and say, hey, look, can you look at this stock? I know nothing about the stock. I know nothing about the fundamentals of the stock, but why can I provide analysis for something I know nothing of? Because I can read charts, and charts inherently tell you when people are done buying, when people are done selling, where they're likely to buy, where there's supply, where there's demand, because of support and resistance. This is why you see, we can make these lines and they're regular over, 10 plus years, right? This is an example. Let's look at this Bitcoin chart. So ever since 2013, Bitcoin's been trading in this channel. What does that mean? That's basically support and resistance. The support is regular for 13 years. And then people say, oh, well, support doesn't work. Technical analysis doesn't work. Explain that, right? There's nothing more rigorous. There's nothing more convincing about technical analysis in crypto than basic support and resistance, because here you have a 13-year trend. Show me a longer trend in crypto. I'll wait. 13 years of support right here. Okay? This is that blue channel you see. Again, put the Elliott wave analysis to the side. Forget my cycle waves. Forget my primary waves. Doesn't matter. All you know from this chart here is that every time Bitcoin went up, it came back down and respected these levels for 13 years. Now that we have that, I want to draw your attention to this. This right here that you see from this perspective, this is a beautiful perspective. Okay? When people say, Dean, you're fucking crazy. You're saying we haven't been in a bull market? What are you talking about? We went from 16K all the way to 120K. Now I want you to look at that on the chart from the perspective of the high time frame. Again, look at it from 13 years, right? You see, this is 13 years. This blue channel that you see, 13 years of price action. Now, zoom in, look at that, what you're talking about, what you're calling the bull market. Look at what that bull market you call looks like. Look at your bull market. Is this your bull market? Look at it. Zoom in, pause the video. That is at support. Yes, you have Bitcoin going from 16 to 120K. This is factually accurate. Yes, that represents a 6 or 7x or whatever it is. I'm not even going to calculate. It doesn't really matter. This is also factually accurate. But the perspective I want you to espouse just for a moment is that in the larger scheme of things, that is simply a matriculation up and to the right on the support line that you've been holding for 13 years. Okay, now let's zoom in a little more. What specifically have we been doing for the past 3 years? Because 16K was in 2022, November of 2022. For 3 years, Bitcoin's been going up, and you've been telling me that we've been in a bull market. That bull market in question has been a hugging of the bottom support of a 13-year channel. So you broke down from it in 22, and ever since you've been trying, it seems, to break back into this blue channel of 13 years. And you've just been being rejected from breaking back into that for the course of 3 years. That is a perspective. Again, you're still suspending your disbelief, suspending your larger thesis, right? For 3 years, you've been doing that. And I would say Bitcoin is so strong that even its up and to the right price action can be part of its bear market. Now, when we talk about bear markets, technically, they don't only encompass when the asset goes down. There's also a part of bear markets that is consolidative, so sideways. I would argue that this right here is part and parcel of Bitcoin's consolidative bear market. I can get more into that. We can look at altcoins. Maybe I don't want to make this video too long, but maybe we might, just for a bit, look at what altcoins consolidative bear market look like. But right here, it would explain many things. Occam's razor, right? If you really want to suspend disbelief, if you really want to be open-minded, think about this. All the most bullish people I see that are influencers and people who espouse that we've been in a bull market since November of 2022, even they'll say maybe once a month, it doesn't feel like a bull market. Some bull market this is the worst bull market I've ever been in. Stop me if you've heard that before. There's a reason you're not feeling it. And yes, technicals aside, you should be able to feel the bull market, right? It's why when we talk about, the Wall Street cheat sheet, psychology of a market cycle, we talk about feelings. Feelings are big in technical analysis because these different motives, these different aspects of an actual market cycle are they have feelings associated with them, right? And so when you talk to me about being in a bear market, being in a bull market, being in euphoria, I don't believe you. I feel like most people who comment on my channel are angry. Most people who comment on my channel are in depression. Very few people, even on social media, express euphoria. Most of it is anger and depression, or some aspect of that, some degree of that, and that's it. And that's been true for years. Now, back to our Bitcoin chart on the high time frame. So I argue that this is part and parcel of this larger bear market. And if it's true, I argue that we're towards the end of Bitcoin's bear market. Towards the end. Because now, what I believe that we're going to experience is the true end with a capitulative retest. So this capitulative retest of Bitcoin's bear market is going to be the actual end. So this move, this impulsive move to the downside that I believe is starting now, that I've, sounded the alarms about, that people think it's impossible, that no, it doesn't fit with anything, because this is the bull market, and the bull market ends in a blow off top, and then altcoins go off. So it doesn't make any sense that Bitcoin would capitulate down to the levels you're talking about. It makes absolutely no sense with my high time frame reasoning. It doesn't make sense if you don't have a higher time frame perspective. But consider this. Bitcoin's bear market was this. So I argue that bear markets have two phases. If you understand, market cycles or Elliott wave, it doesn't really matter what kind of tool you use to analyze markets. Bear markets typically have a down phase and a sideways phase. The down phase right here happened in October, November of 21. I believe the sideways phase went up, and that is what we've been in for the past 3 years. And the end will be a retest of this very key level right here of 55 to 60K. Okay? And then once you have that, look, you're actually making a case for coming back down to a very important level, a level that Bitcoin's been working on for 1,000 days. Okay, look at this. You're dealing with the neckline of not 1,000 days, 1,500 days. You're dealing with a 1,500-day neckline. You've been dealing with that since March of 21. So you could say that your bear markets lasted approximately 4+ years. 4+ years of down and sideways finishes with this retest. And I know it's not what people expect, because people in their minds think bear market's down and sideways, and whenever you start going up, the bull market starts then. But my argument is that no, not necessarily. Some assets you see consolidation up and to the right. Even some altcoins have done this. That's still part and parcel of their bear market. It's just the consolidative phase. It's where, after you dump supply, you have buyers reaccumulating supply. Some of that reaccumulation sometimes happens orthogonally, sometimes it happens up and to the right. But what you want to do as an analyst is identify the reaccumulation and not necessarily just judge it by whether it's up and to the right or completely sideways. Backtest. Look at, let me see if I can come up with one off the top of my head. I can't come up with one off the top of my head, but there are certain altcoins that have done an up and to the right accumulation, like Bitcoin's done. Now, why, in my estimation, is Bitcoin put in an up and to the right accumulation? It's because of the halving. And this is why I get the confusion. Some people talk cycles and think cycles, and they conflate Bitcoin cycles with actual market cycles. It's not that simple. Market cycles are complex. Trust me, if they weren't, everybody would do the same thing, because it would just be super easy. You would just buy it. Everybody would buy it at a certain time. It's algorithmically determined, and everybody would sell it at the certain time. Who's crazy? Why wouldn't you? The market cycle is not determined simply by the Bitcoin algorithm, the halving algorithm, but the halving algorithm does influence the price action insofar as it creates buying pressure. And so when the halving happens, you do always experience buying pressure. And this is one of the reasons you have an up and to the right consolidation, in my estimation. Okay? So that is my thesis. This is why Bitcoin is still in a bear market, but it's almost finished, and why you should actually welcome this, why you should understand it's the most bullish thing in existence. And I welcome you. Use my thesis. Apply it to what you know. Apply it to your metrics. Apply it to your indicators, high time frame. Apply it to your on-chain analyses. And see if your models don't make more sense. Because your models don't make any fucking sense right now. And I know they don't. And you're trying to fit a square into a round circle. It doesn't make any sense that Bitcoin's now going to give a blow off top now, and then altcoins are going to run, and they only have a few months. It makes zero sense. It makes absolutely no sense. What makes even less sense, and now let's go back to our chart. What makes even less sense is that people convince themselves that what we're looking at now isn't the most bearish thing in existence on the smaller time frame. Look at this. Yeah, I mean, anybody who knows anything about technical analysis will tell you this is a death knell. What happened is a death knell. It was bad before this. These two spinning top candles at resistance, or what may be resistance, bad news. You add another one, I mean, it's just anybody who knows anything about technical analysis, you could be a newbie at technical analysis. You'd have to convince yourself otherwise. You'd have to literally talk yourself out of it, and I get that. There is something to that, and you know, that's kind of something that happens. It's a protective mechanism that people do. We've all been there. But if you're honest with yourself, you know that this is incredibly bearish, and that is basically that's game over. That is game over. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Now, it's more a question of where's it going to stop? Where's it going to retrace down to? Where's my next logical support level? Okay? And that's where we look and say that is the highest likelihood of support. That is the most robust level of support for price, right? Because you just look to the left. When you came up, you came up. There was no resistance, little to no resistance. The next logical resistance is this level right here at 55. That's it. That's the analysis. It's not complicated. Anything that's overly complicated, it's usually unlikely to happen. The most simple, elegant, straightforward analyses tend to play out in my experience, especially on the high time frame. So that is my sense of what's going on in Bitcoin and why, you know, on the small time frames, don't expect the larger time frame not to play out. Now, at this point in time, after 270 days of people saying you're crazy, people saying there's no way, people saying you're delusional, you're crazy, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, by the way, I don't mind people disagreeing with me. I even welcome it, you know, and I'll entertain, you know, alternate views, and I'll talk to people, you know, but this is my place of work. And if you're going to troll, I'm just going to block you. Yeah. So don't waste your time. Like you know, you're putting all this work in and, you know, making a trolly comment, no face on your profile picture. Most of you talking shit. It's like, bro, I don't care. Like, this is my place of business. Like, I don't have time for you. I'm literally just gonna block you. If you disagree, I'm not gonna block you for disagreeing, and I'm not gonna block you if you're saying something intelligent. But if you're just trolling, like, you know, go away. You know, I don't need it. So just word to the wise. Don't waste your time doing it. I'll easily hit that block button. Zero remorse. Zero. You know, but if you want to waste your time, by all means, go ahead. If I don't catch you, the algorithm will. In any case, when we're looking at this, now, after 270 days, the price action on the smaller time frames, the daily, the 4 hourly, is starting to mirror the high time frame analysis. This is what happens. And yes, it can take time. But now I want also to talk briefly because I don't want to make the video too long, about altcoins and where altcoins fall into this analysis. So let's say maybe you're considering this analysis, you're considering this alternate view of Bitcoin's trajectory in the bull market cycle, or whatever you want to call the bull market cycle. I think these terms are hackneyed and they need to be better defined. People just throw shit around. Like when you take cycle, define your terms. Define your terms. We haven't had that many bull markets in Bitcoin, actual technical bull markets. We have had up and to the right motions, but very few bull markets. 2015 was a real bull market. 2020 was a mini bull market, but it was in a corrective phase, but it was a mini bull market for Bitcoin. This next one is going to be a 2015 style real bull market, where I know you're impressed by 16 to 120K. That's nothing. That's nothing. That's nothing. Bitcoin went from $1 or a penny to 120K. Do you think it did all of that by doing 6x's, 7x's? No, that's not a bull market. That's not what we do. And I understand it. It boggles the mind. My last point on Bitcoin, and I'll start on altcoins, is think about this. What you think in your brain is a bull market is not a bull market. It's light work for Bitcoin and light work for altcoins, light work for crypto. Actual bull markets happen exponentially. Most people don't think exponentially. So look, I know a lot of analysts, they have their charts in a weird setup where they don't even turn on their logarithmic scales. And so high time frame analyses look like this. It just looks weird. Their charts break. It doesn't make any sense. In crypto, you need that logarithmic scale because our expansive periods happen exponentially. So you can't represent it all on one chart in 2D without turning that log scale on. Okay, you need that log scale on. What does that mean? That means most people don't think logarithmically or exponentially. You think just linearly. So you're impressed by 16 to 120K. That's corrective uptrend. That's nothing. That's light work. Where we're going, your mind doesn't even think. It's hard for you to imagine and fathom Bitcoin going from 55K to a few million. It doesn't make sense. This is actually what we do in crypto. And again, don't take my word for it. Backtest it. Look at 2015. Look what happened in 2015. Look at that expansion. Look at the numbers we did. Tell me then if you're still impressed with 16 to 120K. Stop being so easily impressed. We're in crypto. We do big numbers. We do big boy numbers. This isn't stocks. This isn't traditional finance. That's another discussion for another day. Traditional finance is basically 30, 40 years of, linear, chuggy corrective uptrends that it smells of manipulation. That's another discussion for another day. Don't get me started. Now, let's talk about altcoins. So if Bitcoin, let's say, just, devil's advocate, or just entertain the thesis. If Bitcoin's towards the end of its bear market, where are altcoins? What are altcoins doing right now? Well, I said altcoins are actually finished with their bear market and they're about to go into their bull market. Now, we've done exactly what we did in Bitcoin, but we've already done it. So I talked to you about Bitcoin's massive inverse head and shoulders, right? I said 1,500 days, inverse head and shoulders. You're going to retest that, right? Look at altcoins. You see this massive inverse head and shoulders? It's about 1,300 days, right? That broke out. This is where Bitcoin's at right now. Okay, if you want to compare apples to apples, Bitcoin is here. Altcoins already did that retest. Most people say it's the opposite. Bitcoin leads altcoins. Technically speaking, if you want to be accurate, altcoins are leading Bitcoin, and it only makes sense because there's lower cap. And so they move quickly, more quickly than Bitcoin. Look, that neckline of this 1300-day inverse head and shoulders bullish reversal pattern has already been retested by altcoins. Furthermore, the retest has been retested. All you're doing now is retesting the retest of the retest. With a 30% declension, you should see altcoins fly. And I say altcoins, generally speaking. Obviously, some altcoins are still going to be following what Bitcoin does, but most altcoins are going to fly on this retest. But I want you to have this perspective. This is why I'm saying already alt season started. Why people are saying, you said alt season started. I don't feel it. Yeah, I know. We've gone up, but we haven't necessarily flown because this last retest hasn't happened. But this larger retest has happened, and this even medium-sized retest has happened. This smaller last third retest has to happen. And that's only 30% down, right? So this is why I'm saying you can compare both, and you can see how altcoins are actually ahead of Bitcoin, and you can say altcoins have already started their bull market, but they're about to enter the explosive part of their bull market. Okay? That is my thesis. That's been my thesis. I've shared this with my clients left and right. And I think it makes sense. And with this price action that we're seeing now, it's making even more sense. It's a confirmation of my higher time frame thesis that, you know, I've been shouting from the rooftops for hundreds of days. That's pretty much it. You know, I said, you know, we could look at an example of an altcoin that was up and to the right, that was doing a bear market consolidation up and to the right. I mean, I'll let you find that. Let's see if I can find a really quick example in my watch list. I don't want to make the video too long though. Let's see. I know I had one off the top of my head. I think is it API 3? But this happens. I'm just saying this happens. It wasn't API 3. I'll know it when I see it. Give me a second. It's not on this watch list. I may have removed it. It's not on this watch list. It's not on this watch list. It's fine. It's fine. In any case, we don't talk about altcoins here. I do that in crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. And again, if you're interested in this, you like my analysis, you want to work with me one-on-one, you know, look into the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service. And if you're just interested in trying it or doing just a one-off, you know, asset analysis with me, you know, look at that new service that I just launched for 120. I'll do a single asset for you. Okay, let's end the video with very quickly looking at Bitcoin dominance. And, you know, just like I've been saying, Bitcoin dominance is bullish. Bitcoin dominance is bullish right now in the immediate short term. I'm not Benjamin Cohen telling you Bitcoin dominance is going to, you know, continue its uptrend of many years. No. Bitcoin dominance in the immediate short term is bullish. And we knew that because, again, it's sitting on 760-day support. Very, very simple support and resistance analysis. You know nothing else about, you know, Wyckoff, Gann analysis, Dow theory, Elliott wave analysis. You just are solid in support and resistance. You will crush the market because most people, they buy at resistance, they sell at support, and they are into like who bought Michael Saylor buying and Tom whatever his name is buying, you know, and CPI, PPI, whatever. Like, it's just noise. Support and resistance will get you so far. So 760-day support, bouncing off of it. It took some time, but we're essentially doing that. Bitcoin dominance goes up. We expect Bitcoin to go down. We expect altcoins to go down a little more. That's it. That's the analysis. It's been the analysis for quite some time. Call me delusional, call me what you want, but it is what it is. None of that's going to change the high likelihood of that high time frame, very basic read of the market playing out. You're not going to change it. You can scream and shake your fists all you want. It ain't changing. Guys, that's it for me. If you found value, like, share, and subscribe. Consider tipping Litecoin, Venmo, Cash App, and consider the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service. If you're a serious trader, serious investor, we go over up to 5 altcoins, and I help you determine which altcoins are actually going to give results in alt season, because not every asset is going to give sustained gains in alt season. Like, the ones that are going to pump are literally going to print. We've been through so much pain, but I tell you, I promise you, the markets will reward the pain of bear markets with sustained gain. It's just like, any natural cycle. You go through a cycle where the seed is in the ground and it's not doing anything, but then harvest time, it just sprouts and sprouts and sprouts and sprouts, and you reap what you've sown. That's coming, but not everything is going to give results, because not everything has germinated properly. Not everything was fertilized properly, right? So we look at that, identify the movers for alt season, and then in addition, we go on the smaller time frame, identifying high logical levels of resistance to sell, high logical levels of support to buy back, rinse and repeat, maximizing your portfolio during the course of the bull market, which should be, many, many, many months, not just 2 months or 3 months or whatever. It should be an extended period, because it's just natural. Whatever you consolidated, right? Whatever you consolidated, you're going to express. Those buyers that consolidated over many years are going to express their consolidations in terms of upwards momentum. And that's just how it works. So expect that, and we're going to get it, and we're right on the other side of it, just one drop away, right? Bitcoin obviously has a little further to go, but most altcoins are 30% away from that sustained growth. Okay, so that's crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service, and all the clients have, sort of 24/7 access to me through email, and, continuous updates and all that stuff, and other things, sometimes exclusive videos. The other thing is, yes, the other service that I just launched is single asset. Let's say you're just into Bitcoin, you're a maxi, or you're just into ETH, or you're just into Solana, and you're like, look, I just want, 1, to try you out because I don't know about you yet, and 2, like, I just want to know about this asset. Like, is this a good buy, and where should I buy it? Where should I sell it? And I record a 10 to 20 minute video for you, and I have it to you within 24 hours. That's $120. All you need to do is go in the description below. There are all these different methods of payments. Once you make your payment, just email me exactly what you want me to look at, the exchange pair you want me to look at, as long as I can chart it properly. It has a viable chart on TradingView, typically, because if it's not on TradingView, it's probably not worth charting, to be honest. But as long as it's chartable, I can record serious analysis about it, and I'll send it to you within 24 hours. So that is in the description as well. And don't forget the BTC.D bonus, 10% cash back for a minimum of 500 USDT disbursement onto the exchange for new users. And that's it, guys. I'll see you later. I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. Let's keep going, and bye. My prevalent time slot, I vocalize, too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi.
catch you later.
Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest magnanimous. We body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I grin?